Morning. Morning. You guys want to come on in? That's for you guys right there. You guys can please sit down. We'll need a second and then we'll get started. Take your time, Your Honor. Ready? Ready. Okay, counsel. Everybody here? Ready to begin?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor. Okay, let's hear appearances.
Good morning, Your Honor. On behalf of the plaintiff in this case, Sydney Newburns, my name is Ryan Storer, spelled Stoehrer. I'm joined today by my co-counsel.
Good morning, Your Honor. My name is Anthony Gazzola, last name Gazzola, also on behalf of Sydney Newburns.
Okay, now, first, counsel, could you give me your name one more time?
Sure. Ryan Storer, spelled Stoehrer.
Great, thank you very much. And what is your team number?
104.
Got it. That's what I have here, so in the right place. Defense.
Good morning, Your Honor. My name is Harper Puckett, and I, alongside my co-counsel,
Good morning, Your Honor. Rachel Castellani.
are here today to represent the defendant in today's case, Thomas Harding High School. We prepared some notices of appearances for the convenience of Your Honor, the members of the jury. May my co-counsel approach?
Yeah, go ahead. Okay, anything from the parties before we begin?
Your Honor, the plaintiff has a few housekeeping matters to attend to and one substantive vote.
Sure.
Do we have Your Honor permission to move freely about the law?
You do.
May we assume that all objections are constructively heard outside the presence of the jury?
No, I would like for you to ask. Otherwise, we're gonna believe that the jury heard everything.
May we assume that all witnesses have been constructively sworn in?
Yes.
When approaching a witness, would Your Honor prefer we ask permission before doing so, or are we free to approach?
No need to ask permission. Just note it for the record that you're doing it.
Certainly. Once an exhibit has been received into evidence, are we free to publish to the members of the jury and just make a record, or would Your Honor like us to ask permission?
Just make a record.
And Your Honor, prior to trial, we had a very productive meet and confer. And we agreed with opposing counsel to the admissibility of certain exhibits. May I read those?
Yes.
1, 3, 8A, and 8B.
Okay, defense counsel, do you agree?
That's our understanding, Your Honor.
Okay, so are we entering them into evidence at this moment?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, the 1, 3, 8A, and 8B are accepted into evidence. Anything further?
Your Honor, both sides in this case today intend to call expert witnesses pursuant to Federal Rule of Evidence 615A2 and 3. We request that each expert witness be permitted to remain in the courtroom throughout the duration of the trial.
What do you think, counsel?
No objections, Your Honor.
Okay, they'll be in.
And Your Honor, as we've just agreed to enter Exhibit 1 into evidence, we have Your Honor's permission to use it in our opening statement.
You certainly do.
And we have Your Honor's permission to use the verdict sheet in submission.
Yes.
With that, we're ready to move on to substantive motions.
Okay, any further housekeeping from defense?
Just one additional housekeeping matter, Your Honor. What is Your Honor's preferences on where we place physical exhibits once they're admitted into evidence?
You know, this will be to the surprise of nobody. There's not actually going to be any jury deliberations, so I don't really care. It is incumbent on both of you to remember what exhibits are in. I will try my best to keep notes, but I'm not going to have a pile of documents. just go ahead and act as though, you know the documents that are in around, okay?
Yes, Your Honor.
Understood.
Nothing further from the defense, just the one substantive motion whenever Your Honor is ready.
Okay, any motions?
Yes, Your Honor.
Let's hear it.
The plaintiff respectfully asks that this court preclude Exhibit 2, which is a waiver in its entirety. Does the court have a copy of Exhibit 2, or
I do not.
may I approach it once?
Yes. Thank you.
Absolutely, Your Honor. So this waiver is irrelevant, and the prejudice substantially outweighs the probative value under rules 401 and 403. Would you like factual background in this case?
Brief, please.
So Marie Newbridge was a 14-year-old high school freshman who was paralyzed running the tush push. The defense has notified us that they do not intend to pursue an assumption of risk affirmative defense. And as the court previously ruled, Exhibit 2 does not release the defendant from liability and cannot serve as a defense to negligence.
Okay. Any argument?
Yes, Your Honor. The fact is, that waiver, because of a prior court's ruling, makes no factual consequence more or less probable in today's case. Because the defense has chosen to rid themselves of their affirmative defense, they can't use that waiver in showing what Marie Newbridge may or may not have been aware of when he signed up to play this game.
Okay. Stop.
Yes, Your Honor. The defense doesn't intend to use this waiver to show that Marique assumed the risk. We're not even going to delve into whether or not he signed a particular waiver. This waiver is relevant because it shows the injuries that can happen on general football plays. Whether or not injuries can happen on generic football plays goes to whether or not Klein High School acted reasonably and therefore makes a fact of consequence more or less likely in this case. As to the 403 objection, Your Honor, because we do not plan to delve into the specifics of whether or not Marique signed this specific document, the probative value is not substantially outweighed by the prejudicial effect it may have if we were to go into that testimony, but we're not here today.
Okay. Response to that?
Yes, Your Honor. There's other ways to establish the violence in the game of football. And just because there's injuries listed on that document, it doesn't mean that we need this exhibit to show that. And Your Honor, if you are inclined to submit this into evidence or at least allow defense to question on it, we ask that those signatures at the bottom be redacted. As opposing counsel just told us, they're not going to be asked about the signature in their entirety.
Okay. I do think it is relevant. I do want to hear a little bit on any prejudice. Do you have an argument on prejudice?
Yes, Your Honor. The fact is, because opposing counsel is going to has denied their affirmative defense, they said they will not be taking it on. It's more confusing the issue to the jury by showing them a waiver that this court has ruled does not release the defense of liability.
Okay, I'll give you the last word and then I'm gonna roll.
Yes, Your Honor, we don't intend to admit this waiver into evidence, but rather just ask about whether or not these coaches saw these waivers and knew about the generic risks of football as listed in the waiver.
Okay, I am not going to allow this into evidence. I do believe that there is substantial prejudice to the idea that maybe these claims have been waived. If you would like to ask questions generally about waivers to a witness, some kind of expert, something like that, that's fine. You could even show this to them as a generic form of a waiver. I'm not gonna hear any testimony about the plaintiff or the plaintiff's family signing any kind of waiver. That's not gonna come in. Understood?
Yes, Your Honor, just a question briefly. Am I able to ask about students generally signing waivers?
Yes, as long as there is no implication that any party to this case actively signed the waiver.
Yes, Your Honor.
Understood?
Yes.
Okay, anything further?
Not from the plaintiff, Your Honor. We're ready to move to opening statements.
Okay, anything from defense?
Yes, Your Honor, just one substantive motion. We move to exclude Exhibit 4, which is an email chain. Now, we were able to have a productive meet and confer wherein we agreed to the exclusion of the bottom half of Exhibit 4. The top portion, however, is an email between the athletic director and a coach at the high school. We move to exclude this under Rule 401 and Rule 403.
Okay, and what's the basis? What's your argument on that?
Yes, Your Honor. The contents of the top portion of the email refer to the athletic director encouraging Jackie Powell to seek the advice of the athletic trainer when running practice plans and drills at practice. First off, whether or not Jackie Powell in their head coach capacity ran a play by the athletic trainer doesn't make a fact of consequence more or less likely in this case. This is a play. This isn't a drill or a practice plan. And Jackie Powell is no longer a defensive coordinator, a subordinate coach. Furthermore, the probative value that this may lend is substantially outweighed by confusing the jury. Practice plans and drills are not plays, and the jury may hear this and they might be confused as to why Jackie Powell can run this play by the athletic trainer when they weren't mandated to do so, and it also wasn't encouraged because it wasn't a play, or it wasn't a drill or practice plan.
Response.
As your honor is aware, the standard for relevance under federal rule of evidence 401 is a very low bar. It has to make a fact of consequence in the action more or less likely. At the heart of every negligence action is whether or not a breach occurred. This is a direct communication from Coach Jackie Powell's supervisor, the athletic director at Klein High School, the defendant in this case, requiring, encouraging this individual to speak with the athletic trainer to ensure the safety of practice drills. Now, whether or not this play constitutes a practice drill or not, the evidence will show that it was run at practice. Counsel's arguments go to weight and not against ability. The jury can hear that argument.
Okay, I'm inclined to agree. I'll give you the last word.
Yes, Your Honor. Whether or not Jackie Powell took the advice of the athletic trainer does not make it more or less likely that Klein acted unreasonably in today's case. It will substantially prejudice the defendant in today's case if they're under the assumption that Jackie Powell was required to run these practice plans and drills by the athletic trainer when that's simply not the case, Your Honor. And as such, it should be excluded.
Understood. I think you're free to make those arguments, and I think it is a matter of weight, so I'm gonna deny your motion. So at this stage, exhibit 4 has not been excluded.
Yes, Your Honor.
Understood? Okay, anything further before we begin?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, plaintiff, opening statement.
Yes, Your Honor. The defendant coached this play to paralysis. It's September 9th, 2024. The Klein High School freshman football team takes the field for practice. 14-year-old Marie Newbros, standing at 5'2", and 109 pounds, is the team's starting quarterback. Marie had spent his entire summer working towards moments just like this to be the starting quarterback. On September 9th, Marie had everything to look forward to. The defending coach yells out, "All right, team, line up. We're going to run the Marie sneak." Marie didn't what he was asked. He lined up under center to take a snap. The last snap that he'd ever take. That walk with his teammates out onto the field for practice that day would be the last time that he'd ever walk. Members of the jury at that practice, in a single horrifying moment, where his life, his future, and his ability to move changed completely. Because the defendants coached this play to paralysis. Marie was paralyzed from the neck down. Why? Not because of the inherent dangers of the game of football. Not because of some unforeseeable accident, but because of the negligence of this defendant. Thomas R. Klein High School. And the head coach of its freshman football team, Jackie Powell. Today will prove that the defendants ran a play with these boys that should have never been run. And then they coached it to paralysis. Members of the jury, it's our privilege to represent Sydney Newbirds, the mother of Marie Newbirds. And today we'll prove to you, by a preponderance of the evidence, meaning that is more likely than not, that the defendant's decision to run this play was a substantial factor in causing Marique's injuries. Because first, the defendants changed the tush-push play. Because second, the Marique sneak was unsafe. And third, that the Marique sneak was run perfectly. Now to my first point, that the defendants changed the tush-push play. To understand what really brings us here today, we need to take a step back to the summer of 2024, when the defending coaching staff is sitting inside a bar, talking about plans for the upcoming season. At that bar, they decided that they'd run a variation of the tush-push play. Well, some of you might have heard of the tush-push, which was popularized by the NFL's Philadelphia Eagles. But for those of you who haven't, it's a play where the quarterback takes a snap and is pushed over the line of scrimmage with the help of his teammates. Members of the jury, you're going to learn that the first problem was that this play was nothing like the tush-push. Today, we're going to call Al Cooney, who was the offensive coordinator of the freshman football team at this time. Ms. Cooney is going to tell you that Coach Powell instructed Marique Newbirds to run this play in a way that had never been run before. She wanted him to put his head down, to put his head adjacent to the ground, his neck parallel to the ground, his entire torso parallel to the ground, and then ram himself forward like a, quote, human battering. I'm going to say that again. The defending coach taught this 14-year-old boy to treat his head as a human battering. Now, head coach Jackie Powell will also take the stand today. And Coach Powell will be forced to admit to you that she wanted Marique Newbirds to get pushed forward in this position like a spear. It's the defendant's changes to the play that made it so unsafe. Today, we'll prove that there were obvious dangers associated with running the play this way, including paralysis. We're going to call Dr. Kensington Cotter, a sports medicine physician at UCLA. Dr. Cotter works with UCLA sports teams, including their football team. Dr. Cotter will tell you that axial loading is a fancy medical term for force applied along the axis of one's spine, which is a known mechanism for spinal cord injuries. Dr. Cotter will tell you that the position with which Marique ran exposed his undeveloped head, neck, and entire spine to excessive physical blows, causing unnecessary and risky axial loading. Now, the defense is going to call their own expert today, Dr. Adams. Dr. Adams is going to take this stand, try to tell you that this was a reasonable decision to run this play. But pay attention, because even Dr. Adams will be forced to admit that she wouldn't recommend running the play this way. And by the end of this trial, you'll see that that's for an obvious reason. Because it was unsafe. But you won't only have to rely on expert testimony to know that this was an unsafe play. Today, we're going to prove that this play, the tush-push play, was banned in 48 states at the time they ran it. While it was legal in the state of Pennsylvania, only one team in that entire state was running. The Klein High School freshman football team, who was running it with 14-year-olds. This brings me to my third and final point. That Coach Powell's Marique sneak was run perfectly. You're going to learn that the entire summer leading up to that season, Coach Powell had his freshman football team practicing 3 to 4 times per week to prepare. On August 20th, she taught each and every player on that offense exactly how they'd run this play. She taught the offensive line. She taught the players how to be pushing the quarterback. And she spent a lot of time with Marique, working on these changes to the play. These dangerous changes to the play. Fast forward to September 9th. You're gonna hear that in Coach Powell's own words, the play was run perfectly on that day. Coach Powell will be forced to admit to you that Marique's posture was exactly as he'd been coached. Members of the jury, the result of that, Marique Newlands, 14 years old, during Exhibit 1, will never walk again. The defendants changed the tush-push play. The Marique sneak was unsafe, and the Marique sneak was run perfectly. The defendants coached this play to paralysis. At the conclusion of this trial, my co-counsel will come before you, and he'll ask for the only verdict. Consistent with the facts, consistent with the law, and consistent with your own common sense. To find the defendant, Thomas R. Klein, High School, liable for negligence. Thank you.
Defense, put it on an opening,
Yes, Your Honor.
please proceed.
May it please the court. Every play comes with risks. The staff of the freshman football team at Thomas R. Klein High School was looking for a way to get a leg up on the competition, the 2024-2025 season. And they found it, the quarterback sneak push. You see, in the summer of 2024, the team installed the quarterback sneak push in their playbook. Now, some know this play as the tush push. Here in Philadelphia, many know this play as the brotherly shove, made popular by the Philadelphia Eagles in the NFL. Now, the concept of the play is simple. When the offense just needs 1 or 2 yards, the quarterback will line up under center, and his teammates will line up tightly behind him. When the ball is snapped, the quarterback will run forward, and his teammates will push him from behind to help him get across the line. Now, this play stood out to the coaching staff at Thomas Klein High School for a few reasons. For one, when the play is done right, it's really hard to defend against because the play almost always produces positive yards. You'll hear that the sneak push was run safely at the high school level, the college level, and hundreds of times in the NFL. There had been no reported quarterback injuries from it. And it was legal. It was safe. And to the coaching staff at Thomas Klein, it was just another play. So the team practiced it and it worked. This was simply part of football. This was nothing unusual. Now, the team practiced this play several times without incident. But unfortunately, on September 9th, 2024, Reek Barnes became the first recorded person to injure his spine at the quarterback position while running this play. Now, members of the jury, I want to be clear. We are not here today to dispute that what happened to Marique was anything but tragic. It is. But what we're here to resolve today is whether Thomas R. Klein High School, by choosing to run this play, the quarterback sneak push, unreasonably caused Marique's injuries. And we're confident you'll see that although this was tragic, injuries like Marique's aren't necessarily unexpected in the game of football. Because every play comes with risks. But the plaintiff disagrees. Because Marique was injured that day, plaintiff has brought a claim of negligence against Thomas R. Klein High School. Now, at the end of this trial, the judge will instruct you on the law, but for now, I'll tell you that negligence in this case simply means that the high school failed to act as a reasonable person under the circumstances. Now, today, the plaintiff has the burden to prove to you 2 things. One, that the high school was negligent. And 2, that it caused Marique's injury. Now, if the plaintiff fails to prove to you even one of those things, it's your duty to find Thomas R. Klein High School not liable. Now, we anticipate that the plaintiff will call 2 witnesses today. First, you'll hear from Coach Al Clooney, former assistant football coach for the freshman team at Thomas R. Klein High School. Now, as she testifies, I want you to listen to what she has to say about the expectations of playing football. Now, we also anticipate you'll hear from Dr. Kensington Cotter. And as she testifies, I want you to listen to what information she relies on before forming her opinions about the safety of the play that Thomas Klein ran. But most importantly, members of the jury, I want you to pay close attention to what both of these witnesses cannot tell you. Whether there is any actual data showing injuries resulting from this play at the high school, college, and professional level. Now, we as the defense will also bring you 2 witnesses today. First, you'll hear from the head coach of the freshman football team at Thomas R. Klein High School, Coach Jackie Powell, who will explain to you how this play was taught, practiced, and run with safety as the priority. And you'll also hear from Dr. Omega Adams, a neurosurgeon, who will explain to you that there's no data showing that this play was more dangerous than any other play in football. Now, as you listen to the testimony throughout today's trial, I'd ask that you keep 3 questions in mind. First, are injuries common in football? Second, was this play legal when it was run? And third, was there any data showing the play that Thomas Klein ran was unsafe? Now, at the end of this trial, my co-counsel, Ms. Castellani, will come before you and ask you those same 3 questions. And we're confident that after you hear all the testimony and you apply the law, your answers to those 3 questions will be the same as ours. That injuries are common in football. That this play was legal when it was run. And that there is no data showing that this play was more dangerous than any other play. Members of the jury, what unfolded on September 9th, 2024 was tragic. But we're confident you'll see that Marie's injury was not the result of an unreasonable coaching decision or a uniquely dangerous play. That his injury happened on a legal play, a play run at all levels of football in a sport where, unfortunately, injuries aren't necessarily unexpected. And that's why at the end of this trial, we'll ask that you return a verdict finding Thomas R. Klein High School not liable. Because every play comes with risks. Thank you.
Thank you, counsel. Plaintiff, are you ready to call your first witness?
Yes, Your Honor. At this time, we call Miss Al Clooney to the stand. And Your Honor, while she takes her seat, I'm going to set up the well, please.
Go ahead.
Thank you. And very quickly, at some point during this direct examination, we do plan to attempt to enter an exhibit that's a video of the tush push. I will be playing it on my computer as per the rules of the term.
Understood.
Thank you. May I proceed?
You may.
Good morning.
Morning.
Please introduce yourself to the members of the jury.
I'm Al Cooney. I'm currently the head coach of the JV football team at Jules Epstein High School. I'm also a physics teacher at Jules Epstein High School. Before that, I was the offensive coordinator at Klein High School for their freshman football team.
Why'd you leave Thomas Clark High School for excellence?
Better job. I'm head coach of the JV team versus defensive coordinator for the freshman team.
Ms. Cody, I want to take a step back and talk about why you're here. Were you on the field on September 9th, 2024, when Marie Newbridge was paralyzed?
Yes, that's on the sideline.
Would you recognize a photo of Marie Newbridge if I presented you before?
Yes,
Your Honor, let the record reflect that I'm approaching this witness with what's been pre-admitted into evidence via stipulation with opposing counsel is exhibit 1. Ma'am, what are we looking at?
it's the picture of Marie.
How old is Marie Newbridge in that photo?
She's 14.
What position did Marie Newbridge play for your freshman football team?
Who's the quarterback?
Maybe you put that to the side. Now I want to talk about the play your team was running when Marie was injured. What play was that?
It was our variation of the Eagles tush push. We called it the Marie sneak.
Now I know we're in Philadelphia, but can you explain to the members of the jury who may not be aware, what's a touch push?
Tush push play started in 2021 when the Eagles were, that's when they started it. It's essentially where the center snaps the ball to the quarterback. And then 3 offensive players push the quarterback to get the yardage, the short yardage.
Would a diagram of your Marie sneak, as well as a video of the Philadelphia Eagles running the play, aid in your testimony to the jury?
Yes.
Your Honor, let's record reflect that I'm approaching opposing counsel, bench, and the witness in turn with what has been pre-admitted to evidence via stipulation as Exhibit 3, as well as what's been marked for identification as Exhibit 9, a video of the Philadelphia Eagles. So, ma'am, do you recognize Exhibit 3?
Yes, it's what was in our playbook as the Marie sneak.
And you recognize Exhibit 9?
Yes, it's a video of the Eagles doing their tush push.
How do you recognize that video?
I've been watching Eagles. I'm a huge Eagles fan, so I've watched every game.
Is that video in the same or substantially the same condition as when you last saw it?
Yes,
Hasn't been changed or altered in any way?
no,
Your Honor, at this time, the plaintiff move was been marked for identification as Exhibit 9 into evidence as Exhibit 9.
Any objection?
Yes, Your Honor, may we be constructively heard outside the presence of the jury?
You may.
This video is not relevant. It does not make a fact of consequence in this case more or less likely. How the Philadelphia Eagles ran this play, a professional NFL football team, how they ran it does not make it more or less likely that Klein acted unreasonably, because we're talking about freshman high schoolers in today's case. These are 200+ pound men, grown men and professional athletes. And so how they run this play has no bearing on today's case.
Response.
We're not using this video to show the members of the jury that this was how the Marie sneak was run. It is our position that these two plays were different. We're using this rather to just show background for the members of the jury who may not be aware of what the Marie sneak or tush push is, to show what that formation looks like and how it was run in the end.
Overruled.
Yes, Your
Exhibit
Honor.
9 is accepted in evidence.
And Your Honor, may I witness step down to make use of an exacting argument of Exhibit 3?
Yes.
Just for now.
Your Honor, may I reposition in the well?
Go ahead.
So, man, let's start here with the square. Who is that?
that's the center of our team,
And what about the circles to the center's left and right?
our offensive line,
What's the job of the center and offensive line on the touch push?
to push back the defensive players so that we can get our quarterback over.
You mentioned the quarterback. Who is the quarterback on these diagrams?
This circle right here is the quarterback.
And what's the quarterback's job?
Is to get the to be pushed essentially over with the ball so that they can cross the yard line.
You said the quarterback's pushed. Who does that?
3 offensive players. We had 2 tight ends and a running back as our players.
Let the record reflect that I'm showing this to the jury in half speed, a video of Exhibit 9. Ma'am, if you could approach with me. Let the record reflect I'm showing this video in half speed, And man, while we play this video, can you break down for members of the jury exactly what we're looking at?
Sure, so it's the Eagles, tush push. Right here, it's quarterback being pushed over by the three offensive players to get the yardage.
Thank you. You can take your seat. So now that we've seen how the Philadelphia Eagles run their variation of the tush push, I want to talk about how the Marik sneak was read. When was the first time the Marik sneak was shown to your freshman football team?
It was introduced at practice on August 20th, that's when we first ran it.
What did Mrs. Powell do to introduce the tush push to your team?
She showed a picture of Jalen Hurts, as they were running it and told, Marie that he would be significantly lower than Jalen Hurts was.
Would you recognize that photo of Jalen Hurts if I presented it with you today?
Yes,
Let the record reflect that our opposing counsel, the bench, and the witness in turn, with what's been pre-marked for identification as Exhibit 8 and entered into evidence at Exhibit 8 as well. Man, what is that?
it's the picture that, Coach Powell showed Marie.
It is that photo of Jalen Hurts, how Marie Numerance was taught to run the Marie sneak.
No,
Let's talk about those differences. How is Jalen Hurts' posture in that photo different than Marie's posture?
in the photo, Jalen Hurts is up more right, and Marie was directed to go parallel to the ground and get significantly lower.
Was Marie Numerance told anything else that day?
Yes, he was told to be parallel to the ground so that he could be used like a human battling ram and pushed by the other players.
After a 14-year-old was told to run the play like a human battering ram? Did your team run the play?
We ran it 3 times.
And what happened when your team ran that Marie sneak 3 times?
After the last time, Coach Powell grabbed the helmet of Marik and said, "I told you to get lower," and pushed his head down so that he was parallel to the ground like he wanted.
I want to talk about why your team ran that play. What was your team's record the previous 2 seasons?
1 win and 9 losses, so not good.
Was that your record for both seasons?
Exactly the same, yes.
What, if anything, did Miss Powell say about her job security?
It was said that we should be worried about our jobs.
Now I want to talk about who else was running a variation of the tush push. Ma'am, how many football teams are there at Klein High School?
There's the freshman team, the junior varsity team, JV, and varsity team, so 3.
Did those teams run generally the same plays?
In general, yes, to keep continuity between the teams.
Well, did the varsity team run a variation of the tush push?
No,
Did the junior varsity team run a variation of the tush push?
no.
When was the first time you heard of any team at Klein deciding to run a variation of the tush push?
It was July 1st. Coach Paul and I were at the Wicked over Peters, and it was decided that we wanted to run. She wanted to run the tush push or a variation of it.
Before that meeting, had you ever heard of a high school team in the state of Pennsylvania running a variation of the tush push?
No,
Before that meeting, had you ever heard of a high school team in the country running a variation of the tush push?
no.
Did your Klein freshman team still decide to run the racing?
Yes,
So let's talk about the next time the Marine Steve was ran. Ma'am, when was that?
that was the full game of September 5th against Robert Little High School.
What happened when you ran the Marine Sneak on September the 5th?
It was unsuccessful, resulted in a turnover. And Marie got stuffed, so.
So what happened after the Marine Sneak didn't work?
Coach Powell said, you gotta get lower, and then AJ and John loved to be in there.
Who were AJ and John?
They were the backup quarterbacks for the freshman team.
So I now want to talk about the last time the Marine Sneak was ran. When was that?
That was September 9th.
Can you tell the members of the jury what happened when you ran Marie sneak on September 9th?
It was exactly how Murray was supposed to do it. He got parallel to the ground. He was pushed by the 3 offensive players past the yardage. And again, it was exactly how Coach Powell wanted, but Murray didn't get up.
So after that play was run exactly as it was coached, what'd you do?
Well, Murray didn't get up. Someone was screaming. I ran over. I was like, Murray was just laying there. He was breathing, but he didn't get up. And I called 911.
What was the result of Marie Newburn's running the play exactly as Miss Powell taught?
He's paralyzed.
Thank you, Coach Blaine. Your Honor, I have no further questions about staff.
Cross?
Yes, Your Honor.
Would you like me to deconstruct?
I proceed.
Man,
You began working at Klein High School in 2014,
That's correct.
and the job for head coach opened up, correct?
I did.
In 2021.
Yes,
You wanted that job.
I did. I didn't get it.
Jackie Powell got that job as head coach, right?
Yes,
You felt like the school passed you up.
a little bit. Rejection's a part of life.
Rejection, even though you'd worked there for 2 years longer than Jackie Powell.
Yeah.
And now you're here today to testify against the school that passed you up.
I'm here to testify and tell the truth of what happened.
I'd like to talk to you about some of the differences you pointed out on direct about sneak push. Now, you'd agree with me here that this blocking scheme is the same as the NFL set up, right?
You mean where the figures are represented?
Yes.
Yes,
This center, this is the same as the NFL, right?
it's the same placement. Yes,
The quarterback is placed the same as the NFL, right?
same placement. Yes,
And just like in the NFL, the quarterback has the ball, right?
yes,
And it's the job of the defense to stop that ball from moving, right?
yes,
And that can end in a pileup, correct?
sometimes yes,
You'd agree with me that pileups can happen on numbers of plays, right?
sure.
And you can't stop a pileup from happening, right?
No,
I'd like to talk to you about vocalizing your concerns with running this play. At the Wicked Wolf, there was some discussion about running the sneak push, correct?
yes,
Now, you never vocalized your concerns to Jackie Powell after you met at the Wicked Wolf, right?
after,
Yes.
not after, no,
On the August 20th practice, you never told Jackie Powell you were concerned with the positioning of players during the play.
no,
At the September 5th game, you never vocalized to Jackie Powell that you were concerned with the way that Marie had gotten low.
no, but I wish I had.
But you didn't. You didn't vocalize your concerns even after the game,
No, I wish I had.
when Marie allegedly hurt his back. Is that a yes to my question?
Yes,
You didn't tell the athletic trainer what you saw?
no,
You didn't talk to the athletic director about what you saw?
but I wish I had.
Because you didn't on September 9th? Because you didn't vocalize your concerns on September 9th? The play went as it was run, right?
Directly as Coach Powell said, for it to be run, yes.
Because you didn't bother to tell anybody
Oh, anybody would.
about your concerns.
I wish I had.
I'd like to talk to you about why you thought the play was unsafe. In your deposition, you assumed that the sneak push was unsafe, right?
For high schoolers, yes,
Because you saw 2 New York Giants players run the play.
I had.
You saw that they got hurt running the play,
They did.
but those weren't quarterbacks.
They were not quarterbacks,
Those weren't spinal injuries.
not the same injury, no.
You can't tell this jury how severe those injuries were.
No.
Whether those players required surgery,
No,
they needed to sit out for a game.
did they need to, is that what you're asking?
I'm asking if you can tell this jury whether those players, they just needed to sit out for a game.
I can't tell you.
Because quite frankly, you didn't bother to look, right?
At the Giants football game?
Yes, ma'am. You didn't bother to look at the severity of those injuries when you came to your conclusion.
No,
You can't tell this jury if there have been any injuries to quarterbacks as a result of the sneak push at the NFL level,
not at the NFL level, no.
at the college level,
No,
or at the high school level.
oh, Marique is injured.
Prior to this incident, ma'am,
We were the only ones running the Marique sneak.
I'd like to talk to you about some articles that you talked about in your deposition.
Okay.
You said that you were familiar with an article by the Associated Press.
Yes,
You weren't familiar with this article prior to the sneak push incident.
sorry, can you repeat that?
You weren't familiar with this article prior to the incident
Yes,
because it was published in 2025, right?
yes,
You said that it reflected the reasons you didn't want to run the play.
Objection, Your Honor, as to hearsay. Right now, we're referring to a document that's not in evidence. This is an out-of-court statement made for the truth of the matter, sir.
Response.
Yes, Your Honor. I'm not using this article for its truth. The contents of this article being true or not makes no bearing on our case here today. I'm rather using this article to point out the credibility of this witness, as they said that it reflects the reasons they didn't want to run the play, goes to the veracity of this witness's opinion.
Okay, let's go outside the presence of the jury because I'd like a little bit of an offer of proof as to how.
Yes, Your Honor. This witness says that the articles reflected the reasons they didn't want to run the play. These articles talk about the aesthetics of the play, whether or not they should be considered fair or if they're rugby moves. They have no bearing on the safety of the sneak push for a freshman team. So they come to a conclusion. I'm just pointing out some of the flaws in their reasoning.
Okay, did this witness offer an opinion, that opinion on direct examination?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, what's your response?
Your Honor,
Sorry.
that's okay. Your Honor, at this point, the opposing counsel is trying to offer this evidence as hearsay. It's an out-of-court statement made for the truth of the matter asserted. They're trying to say that this witness's conclusions are based on true statements. The fact they came to an opinion regarding this article, and they're talking about its truth value, whether or not this is a rugby play, whether or not it's safe. And we doing that, not while the document isn't in evidence, is classic hearsay.
Understood. So I will overrule the hearsay objection. And I certainly don't think I can heard a statement at this point as to any statement from the document. So please proceed.
Yes, Your Honor. You are familiar with a document from the Associated Press, correct? You
yes,
said that that document reflects the reasons that you didn't want to run the play.
yes,
That data, or that article says there isn't sufficient data, correct?
it does.
That article doesn't mention spinal injuries.
Don't believe it does.
It doesn't mention neck injuries.
No,
It never mentions paralysis.
no,
It never even mentions the possibility of an injury like Marique's as a result of this play.
didn't mention the injury Marique suffered, no.
You also were familiar with an article from The Guardian, correct?
Yes,
But you weren't familiar with it prior to the incident
no, not prior to the incident.
because it was also published in 2025, correct?
Yes,
Now, that article, again, you said reflects why you didn't want to run the play.
yes,
But that article talked about the way that the play looked, right?
yes,
It considered whether or not it was a rugby move,
yes,
whether or not it was fair to run a play like this
yes, and football.
when the defense isn't allowed to push, but the offense is allowed.
Yes,
That's what it was considering, correct?
yes,
It makes no mention of spinal injuries,
no,
neck injuries,
No,
or paralysis?
did not.
This Article 2 makes no mention of the possibility of an injury like Marique's from this play in your playbook, correct?
No, I was just discussing the plan in general.
No further questions.
Can you redirect?
Yes, please. And yes, Your Honor, you have approved. May I proceed?
You may.
You were at the cross-examination a lot about formation of the tush push. Do you remember that?
Yes,
Who was the only player that was different between the tush push and the race?
well, Marie, because of how he was directed to go parallel to the ground.
Who was the only player on September the 9th that was paralyzed?
Marie,
You were also asked about a lot of articles on cross-examination. Do you remember that?
yes,
Did any of those articles talk about the tush push?
yes,
Did they talk about the race?
no,
Thank you. I have no further questions at this time.
Okay. It's my understanding there is no recross in this jurisdiction.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, understood. So you are excused and plaintiff, you got another witness?
Yes, Your Honor, at this time, the plaintiff calls Dr. Kensington Cotter. May I set up the well?
You may.
I'm permission to reposition myself so that I could view.
Sure.
Good morning. Please introduce yourself to the members of the jury.
Good morning, my name is Dr. Kensington Cotter.
Dr. Cotter, what do you do for work?
I am a sports medicine physician at the University of California, Los Angeles, and I also work for Cedars-Sinai Herlin Jobe Institute.
You say you're a physician. How long have you been a physician?
Nearly 15 years now.
Dr. Cotter, would you please tell the members of the jury how you got involved in this case?
I was hired by the plaintiff, you guys, to discuss and figure out whether or not the tush push or Marie sneak as run by Klein High School was medically safe.
Were you able to reach that conclusion to a reasonable degree of medical certainty?
Yes, I was.
Before we get into your conclusions, I'd like to talk a little bit more about your background. Would you describe your educational background?
So I have a bachelor's of science in biology from UC Berkeley, and then I went to med school at UCLA. I stayed there for my residency. I even did a fellowship there under primary care sports medicine.
You completed a fellowship in primary care sports medicine. Would you explain for those of us who aren't physicians what sports medicine is?
Sure. So sports medicine is just a branch of medicine that deals with the prevention and treatment of injuries related from physical activity, exercise, and sports itself.
After you completed that fellowship at UCLA, what did you do next?
I started working at the Institute, and I also started working at UCLA. I both started in 2015. I work there still to this day.
What's your role at the Institute?
So at the Institute, I am the attending physician. It basically means I just diagnose, treat musculoskeletal conditions and other sports ailments.
What's a musculoskeletal condition?
It's basically any condition that impacts muscles, bones, ligaments, tendons, also including the spine.
Now, you mentioned you also work at UCLA. What's your role at UCLA?
I work with the athletic program at UCLA. I am the consulting physician for their sports teams. I'm also a clinical professor at that school.
Which sports teams do you work with at UCLA?
I work with a variety of the teams. One of them is including the football team.
Doctor, are you board certified?
Yes, I am. I got a board certification in family medicine. I also have a certificate of added qualification I have my board certification in family medicine, and then certificate of added qualification in sports medicine.
Have you ever been published regarding original research on the safety of a football player?
Yes, I have. I actually just got published this last year. My article is entitled "The Medical Risks of the Tush Push: A Physician's Perspective."
Your Honor, pursuant to Federal Rule of Evidence 702, I now offer Dr. Cotter as an expert in sports medicine and musculoskeletal injury causation.
Any objection?
Yes, Your Honor, we would object. We don't think that there's been enough foundation laid pursuant to Rule 702, specifically the principles and methods that Dr. Cotter used to come to her conclusion. So we would object at this time for lack of foundation.
Response?
Your Honor, we hadn't offered an opinion yet. We would certainly elicit that information prior to exploring her opinions.
I agree. Any objection to qualifications?
Not at this time, Your Honor.
Okay, witness will be accepted as an expert in the attended fields.
Dr. Cotter, have you been compensated for your work on this case?
Yes, I have. Like any paid expert, I am compensated for my time. I got paid $500 per hour for everything basically outside of the courtroom. That included viewing materials, consulting with lawyers, and writing a report. And then I also got paid another $1,000 per hour for testifying.
Is your conclusion regarding the tush-push play as run by Klein High School based on sufficient facts and data?
Yes, it is.
What facts and data did you base your opinion on?
So I based my opinion on the documents that I had reviewed, which were 1 through 21 and all the party stipulations.
Is your conclusion as to whether the tush-push play as run by Klein High School was safe or not based on reliable principles and methods?
Yes, it is.
What principles and methods did you apply to the facts of this case?
So I compared the conduct of Klein High School with the standards and principles of the sports world.
Dr. Cotter, please tell the members of the jury what your conclusion is regarding the safety of the tush-push play as run by Klein High School.
So the Marique sneak as run by Klein High School, my professional opinion, was not medically safe.
Let's talk about that conclusion. How did you reach that conclusion?
So based on my research, I had found that the tush push in general is not safe. It exposes unnecessary risks to injuries like spinal injuries. And then here we're talking about high schoolers, much smaller, not as developed. And additionally, like I said, this was not the tush push. This was the Marique sneak. So Klein High School ran the play apparently different.
Dr. Cotter, there was a lot of information there, so I'm going to pull it apart. You said the tush-push in general has unnecessary risk of spinal injuries. What kind of spinal injuries?
So the tush push in general leads a quarterback to be exposed to more spinal injuries because it exposes them to axial loading.
Please tell the members of the jury what axial loading is.
It's a fancy term. Basically, it just means the force applied along the axis of the spine is what causes spinal.
And you mentioned when it was run with Klein High School, it was more dangerous. Why is that?
It's because the Marique sneak had a different position or posture of the quarterback. That made it more dangerous.
We'll get into that in a bit. You mentioned that Klein High School had a different posture with which they approached this play. Which run? I'd like to actually break down the differences between these plays. Your Honor, permission for Dr. Cotter to step down and make use of the demonstrative.
Granted.
Now, Dr. Cotter, you said that Thomas R. Klein High School ran a play called the Marique Sneak.
Yes.
May the record reflect, I'm writing Marique Sneak on the top left-hand corner. And the standard play is the tush push.
Yes. Standard football play that we're looking at today is the tush push.
And that's what it's called in the NFL.
Yes, the NFL calls it that.
May the record reflect, I'm writing NFL tush push on the right side and creating a 2-column T chart. There you go, Doctor. Dr. Cotter, you mentioned that these players run with a different posture at Klein High School. How is that posture different?
So the way that Marique was instructed by Mr. Powell was to lean forward, bend forward, and so that he could lean forward and be pushed. I'm gonna write bend forward on the Marique side.
Dr. Cotter, is that how the plays run in the NFL?
Typically, no. NFL quarterbacks typically are more in an upright position. I'm gonna write an X on the NFL tush push side.
Dr. Cotter, would you describe the position with which Marique was coached to position his head in the Marique sneak?
Surely. So Marique was instructed by Mr. Powell to keep his head down, tucked to his chin. I'm writing head down at this point.
Dr. Cotter, in the NFL, do quarterbacks generally put their head down with their chin tucked to their chest like you just showed the drill?
Not generally. I'm gonna write an X on the NFL tush push side.
Dr. Cotter, would you describe the position with which Marique was coached to maintain his torso?
So from the reference of the documents, Mr. Powell instructed Marique to keep his torso and entire body parallel to the ground. I'm gonna write parallel to the ground.
Based on your original research of the tush push plays run in the NFL, do quarterbacks generally run their entire bodies parallel to the ground?
Entirely parallel to the ground? No. I'm writing an X on the tush push side.
Dr. Cotter, when Marique was positioned like this, what did Coach Powell want his teammates to do?
So Mr. Powell instructed for Marique to bend forward, lean forward, so that his teammates would push him from behind, driving his head through the line like a spear. I'm gonna write spear on the Marique sneak side.
Is that how this play is run in the NFL?
No, it is not. I'm gonna write an X on the NFL tush side.
Thank you, Dr. Cotter. You can take your seat. Your Honor, I ask that the demonstrative be preserved as Exhibit 28 for our submission.
It will be preserved.
Dr. Cotter, why is this posture unsafe for a high schooler to run?
So the way the Marique sneak was run substantially increased the danger of this play. All of those things, bending forward, head down, parallel to the ground, driving your head to the line like a spear, taken together, increased the risk of axial loading. When you're parallel to the ground like that, especially, the forces of your head, neck, back, all at risk because you're getting pushed from behind. You're also getting pushed from the front. That increases the risks of spinal injuries.
Right, putting away Exhibit 28. Dr. Cotter, based on your review of the record in this case, on September 9th, how is the play, the Marique sneak, run by Thomas R. Klein High School?
So based on the record and what I reviewed, the play was run perfectly as Coach Powell had instructed. Marique got bent forward, bent down with his head down, just parallel to the ground. All of those things happened. And so it went perfectly.
Based on your review of the record, what was the result of Thomas R. Klein High School running that Marique sneak play perfectly?
Marique was paralyzed.
Thank you, Dr. Cotter. Your Honor, I have no further questions for the witness at this time.
Cross?
Yes, Your Honor.
Please proceed.
Dr. Cotter.
Now, you're being paid $500 an hour for your testimony working on this case.
Yes, like I said, I don't wanna brag, I get paid $500 an hour for out of court stuff and then $1,000.
And you said $1,000 an hour for your testimony today.
Yes, that's for the in-court testimony.
And today's the first time that you've ever testified as an expert in court.
Correct, actually, I got hired once, but I never got taken to court, so this is my first time.
Now, I want to talk a little bit about your background. You're a physician in sports medicine, right?
Correct,
And you treated many athletes, including football players.
yes, I work with UCLA sports teams.
But you're not a neurosurgeon,
No one,
and you're not a neurologist.
no,
You're not an orthopedic surgeon.
no, I'm not.
You've also never played football.
No, I haven't.
You've never coached football.
No.
Never designed any football plays.
No,
Never taught blocking technique
no, I haven't.
or tackling technique.
No, I'm a doctor.
Now, I want to talk about axial loading. In March of 2024, you wrote a report discussing what you believe to be the dangers of the quarterback sneak push.
Correct,
And in that article, and here in this courtroom today, you identified axial loading as your main point of concern.
it's one of my main points of concern, correct?
And axial loading is just spinal compression, right?
Yes, basically force along the axis of the spine.
But spinal compression is common in football,
It can happen on different plays, yes.
right? Because football is a contact sport.
Yes, it is.
Tackling creates spinal compression.
If done in a certain way, yes.
Blocking creates spinal compression.
And not in all scenarios, but we can, yes.
Pile-ups create spinal compression.
Yes, we can.
And this can cause spinal injuries.
Yes, they can.
Now, you also provided some examples of football players in your report who sustained axial loading injuries.
Correct, I provided 2 examples of it.
Objection, Your Honor, that's not contained in the report.
Okay, response.
It is contained in her medical reports of materials that she reasonably relied on today to form her opinion.
Anything further?
Your Honor, they can point to a page and line number of Dr. Carter's report. Exhibit 23 regarding specific players who were paralyzed.
So is your objection that this question is mischaracterizing the contents of the report? Is that your objection?
Yes, and certainly if I knew where it was coming from, perhaps that would change.
So I think the way this is able to answer and to clear the record if it does something that overrule the objection.
Yes, Your Honor.
Dr. Carter, you provided some examples of NFL players who sustained axial loading injuries in your report.
Not in my report for this case, but I have done research on
So it's your testimony today that in your medical report that you wrote in March of 2024, you did not include examples of players who sustained axial loading injuries?
it. In my report that I came here today, no.
The March of 2024 report.
I don't remember the exact date of the report, but the report I wrote for this trial, no. I may have talked about other players in my article. I did do research on the tush push.
Your article, the article titled Medical Risks of the Tush Push, Physician's Perspective.
Yes, I just want to clarify. The article was written not for this case. The article was written prior to this case. My report, I didn't mention any players.
Okay, I'm asking you about the article that you wrote, that you reasonably relied on to come to your conclusion today.
Yes,
You wrote,
in that report, yes.
yes, and
It's not a report, right?
these players that you provided, they weren't quarterbacks.
No, they weren't.
They were not injured on the quarterback sneak push.
No, I believe I had referenced Devin Gales and Dennis Bird.
They were injured on other plays.
Correct.
Now, I want to talk a little bit more about some of the other materials that you relied on before coming to your conclusions today. You relied on some articles.
Yes, I did.
And just to be sure, you relied on a Guardian article.
Correct.
And this article talks about the safety concerns of the quarterback sneak push.
Yes, it does.
And this was an article that helped you form your opinion as to why this play increased the risk of spinal injury.
It was one of the things that I rely on. Yes.
But Dr. Cotter, nowhere in this article is spinal injuries mentioned.
No, not in that article, but I also reviewed other things as well.
Well, let's talk about some of the other things you relied on a Los Angeles Times article, right?
Yes, that was another one of the documents that I reviewed.
And this also talks about safety concerns of the quarterback sneak push.
Correct.
But nowhere in this article are spinal injuries mentioned.
No, most of the spinal injury stuff came from my own.
You also relied on an ESPN article,
Correct.
and it talks about the same thing.
Yes.
But nowhere in this article are spinal injuries mentioned.
No, it's the ESPN article. I don't know if they really dive into medical versus, I do my research as a doctor.
But you relied on these articles. You relied on an ESPN article to form your opinion, right?
Yes, I relied on a multitude of articles.
You also relied on an AP article that discusses the safety concerns of the quarterback push.
Correct.
And again, spinal injuries are nowhere to be found.
No, not in that article.
These articles don't even mention the possibility of spinal.
No, I believe they talk about play in a more generalized sense.
Now, I want to talk about the facts of this case. The quarterback sneak push, when it was run by Thomas Klein High School, it was legal when it was run.
In Pennsylvania, it was legal for 2024, then it became banned.
So that's yes to my question. It was legal the time it was run, the time Marie ran.
Yes, it was.
And prior to this incident, it was practiced without injury.
Based on the reports and the documents I reviewed, there was a potential injury on, I believe it was August 20th. Or I'm not sure about the exact date, but when they practiced play, Marie did say that he had felt some injury. That he had grabbed his back.
Well, he grabbed his back, but he didn't say anything to the coaches.
No, nothing to the coaches per se, but in his testimony, there was some indication of some injury.
But you weren't there to talk to him about the injury, the potential injury.
No, I only got the document.
So you don't know if he was injured.
I only know that he said his back had hurt.
Now, you said that to clarify, this play had been practiced without injury prior to this incident.
Well, like I said, he heard that he had grabbed his back. I don't know the extent of his injury, but in that regard, yes.
Now, you agree with me that there's no rule requiring how many times a play needs to be practiced.
No, there's no like dead set rule now.
Now, part of what you said makes this play so dangerous is that the quarterback can get hit from multiple directions.
Correct. In this scenario, he was getting hit from behind while getting hit from the front.
But quarterbacks get hit from the front all the time in football.
Yes, that is true.
They get hit from the back.
Yeah, but they're not parallel to the ground normally.
They get hit in the side.
Yes, they can.
They can get hit in the head.
Correct. But like I said, reason that this was so dangerous because it's parallel to the ground.
But my question was much simpler than that. Quarterbacks can get hit in the head in football.
They can, yes.
And football players, they bend forward all the time.
Yes, in some places.
It's possible they put their head down during football.
But tuck to the chin, I'm not certain exactly on what place they do that, but they can.
And they can end up parallel to the ground.
They can. It's dangerous though.
These things are not limited to the Marie sneak.
They can occur on other plays, but this play, all of those things combined made it more dangerous.
Again, my question was much simpler than that. These things, bending forward, head down, it's not just limited to the quarterback sneak push.
They can happen on other plays.
Now, Dr. Cotter, you agree with me that spinal injuries can occur on any play in football.
Yes, they can happen.
And spinal injuries aren't limited to the quarterback sneak push.
No, they're not.
They're not limited to the Marie sneak.
No,
And this play has been run hundreds of times at the NFL level.
correct.
It's been run hundreds of times at the college level.
Yes.
And no NFL quarterback had been paralyzed from running the quarterback sneak push.
No.
No college level quarterback, right?
No college level quarterback has been what?
Paralyzed.
No, they weren't running the racing.
And prior to this incident, no high school level quarterback had been paralyzed from running the quarterback sneak push.
like no high school, I believe, has run it, so no.
And there's no data suggesting that this play is more dangerous than any other play in football.
Well, not necessarily. If you run it parallel to the ground, like Marie Steve was, yes, there is data to show that it is more dangerous.
You just said that this play had never been run before.
Well, the risks of it are more dangerous.
Right, but I'm not asking you about the risk, I'm asking you about whether there's any data.
No, not necessarily. The play hasn't been run.
No further questions.
Redirect?
No redirect, Your Honor. I just asked that my witness be allowed to sit down.
You are allowed to step down.
Thank you.
Anything further from plaintiff?
No, Your Honor, at this point, the plaintiff rests.
Okay, I believe defense you put on a case today?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, I believe that means we should probably take a 5-minute break, but are there any let's do, do we have any motions?
Yes, Your Honor. At this time, the defense would move for judgment as a matter of law pursuant to Rule 50, the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure. Say the plaintiff had to provide enough evidence such that a reasonable jury could find Thomas R. Klein High School liable for negligence. Even taking the evidence in the light most favorable to the plaintiff as the non-moving party, the plaintiff has failed to meet their burden today. The plaintiff has failed to show that the high school failed to act as a reasonable person would, and that doing so caused Reed's injuries. First, Your Honor, there's been no data presented showing that this play was more dangerous than any other play in football. It had been run at the high school level, college level, and in the NFL. There have been 0 reported quarterback injuries and 0 reported spinal injuries. There's also been no data presented as to whether the quarterback sneak push as run by Thomas Klein High School was significantly dangerous or was likely to cause injury. Your Honor, even the plaintiff's witnesses got on the stand today and said that injuries like Marique's are not limited to the quarterback sneak push. They are possible on numerous other plays in football because football is a contact sport. Also, Your Honor, we've heard today that this play was legal at the time that Thomas Klein High School ran this play. There's also been no evidence presented today showing that another reasonably prudent coach would have not run this play under the same circumstances, the same rules, the same information available to them as Coach Jack Powell. At best, Your Honor, the testimony presented today by the plaintiff shows a difference in coaching opinion and philosophy, but not that another reasonably prudent coach would not have run this play or didn't run this play. And for those reasons, Your Honor, the plaintiff's failure to present that testimony today highlights the fact that they have not met their burden. For those reasons, Your Honor, this motion should be granted. Response?
Yes, Your Honor, under Federal Rule of Civil Procedure 50A, viewing the evidence to light most favorable to the non-moving party, in this case, the plaintiff, we have established a prima facie case of negligence today. Now, counsel testified that our witnesses did not prove that there was a breach. Counsel just stated that our witnesses did not testify regarding a breach in this case. Ms. Clooney took the stand today and testified that she wished she had notified somebody at the school while she was working at that school, the defendant's school, because she felt that the play was unsafe. And since she hadn't done that, that constitutes a breach. Additionally, counsel's concerns about lack of data surrounding this play are irrelevant, particularly because both witnesses testified extensively to the differences between the tush push play and the play as run by Klein High School. For those reasons, we've met our burden to at least establish a prima facie case.
Okay, I agree. Motion is denied. Let's take a quick break. It is 10:18. Let's come back in 5 minutes. That would be 10:23.
We didn't show it during the but I didn't.
Yeah, it's the most.
Yeah.
With as far as just the. They're starting to do this good truck for that, yeah.
I might also. Constructively go back, having seen it before. I would feel to do that, even though we stipulated not to do it.
That works.
Yeah, I'll see how.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just with regard to this, I'm sorry, I wouldn't exactly relate to you. Are you guys okay with me maybe putting this on the back of it?
Yeah, cause I don't wanna move it up, but.
Yeah, we can do that. Whatever works for you, we'll turn it around, I can have.
Yeah,
There's not something on the back that we didn't wanna erase.
Yeah,
and it looks for treatment.
Okay,
Yeah, that works.
okay.
I don't want you guys to get out of problems.
Our demonstrative of it all.
You're all right. Everybody's moving around each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the back. Yeah, other side.
Like you can hear us over there. Fantastic.
That's small. You can't do that, someone else doing it.
What's it? Is it just like the facts, right?
You can ask me, what's that?
Okay. The negligence claim, right? How come they just didn't have the coach like say something while she was there, so that they could have been put on notice or could have been.
So I would be careful to imagine what other facts maybe the witness could say. So the witness is limited to a statement that's written by Drexel Law. These students don't get to choose who the witness is, what the witnesses has the ability to say, and if they make up facts, that's cheating.
No, I'm assuming that the reason I'm hearing it this way is because it was left out, right?
Likely, yeah,
Right.
or it could be that they chose not to go that way, I'm not sure.
So then all that for the summary judgment, where they were saying, I believe his argument back was that she said she wished she had said something, which like, if that was a fact and she did say something and y'all missed it, I doubt we're that bad. We have time. Yeah, that's the assumption I had.
A few assumptions that actually.
That's what they're saying.
Thank you so much for having us out. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, are we all back?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
Defense, you got any witnesses to call?
Yes, Your Honor. The defense calls Jackie Powell to the stand. Good morning. Could you please introduce yourself to the jury?
Good morning, I'm Jackie Powell.
Where do you work?
I work at Thomas R. Klein High School.
What do you do at Klein High School?
I'm the head coach of the football team.
Who else is on that team with you?
There are several other coaches. Our defensive coordinator is out left.
And who comes up with the plays for the team?
It's kind of a collaborative effort between all of the coaches, but I have final say as the head coach.
When did you become head coach?
I started in 2022. Before that, I joined Klein High School in 2016, but I was the defensive coordinator.
I'd like to talk about what rules can govern the plays that you add to your playbook. What athletic rules govern Klein High School?
Really, we have to be aware of anything that the Pennsylvania Athletic Association puts out. They have standards for all of the high schools.
What do those standards say about the sneak push from the 2024 to 2025 season?
They didn't have any standards regarding that play.
And what did they say for the 2025 to 2026 season?
They had banned the quarterback sneak push that season, but they didn't tell us why.
How did you find out about that ban?
Through an email.
And what did that email say as to why the play was being banned?
It didn't give a reason.
I'd like to talk to you about the safety precautions that you take as head coach for your freshman team. What sort of equipment do the students wear?
I mean, just like any person who's gonna play football, they're padded from head to toe and helmets, shoulder pads, knee pads, all of that. And we use the same equipment that the NFL uses.
Now, why do the students have to wear all of this padding?
Football is a contact sport. I mean, every play, you have a risk of being tackled, and with that comes risks of injury.
Can you list for the jury some of these injuries in your experience as a football coach you've become aware of?
Yeah, so they can be as minor as like bruises, scrapes, bumps. But there are some more major injuries like sprained ankles, torn ACLs, concussions are pretty common, as well as paralysis.
What kind of plays can these injuries occur on?
I mean, pretty much anytime you step out on the football field, like there's a risk that you're gonna be injured.
How can you prevent injuries from happening to your players?
You can't prevent them entirely, but as the head coach, I do try to modify some of my plays to work better for our high school students who are obviously at the beginning of their athletic careers and smaller.
Which plays have you modified specifically?
Specifically, when implementing the quarterback sneak push play, we decided to modify that to work for our high school freshman football team.
How did you modify the sneak push for the freshman team?
So normally in the NFL, the quarterback runs it at a more upright position. That's because they're stronger and they have a better chance of getting forward before the defense tackles them. So knowing that our quarterback, Murray, was a little bit smaller, I had him lower his body so that he had a better chance of getting to the ground and getting that short yardage before the defense could come at him and tackle him. I was trying to prevent him being pushed over by the defense.
I'd like to talk to you about the sneak push in practice. First off, whose idea was it to run the sneak push?
So Al Clooney and I talked about it. He brought it up as the idea, but I agreed to implement it.
When was the first time the freshman team practiced the sneak push?
We practiced it August 20th. We ran that play 3 times after I had shown it to our players and watched them through it, and they ran it perfectly. We gained the yardage every time, so I thought this is good to go. We'll run it during a game.
Well, how did it go when you ran it in a game?
our first game we ran it in was September 5th against Robert Little High School. And it didn't work that time. Marik was more upright and he was completely sacked by the defense and fell over and had players jump on top of him. So I didn't run it anymore at that game and knew we had to practice it the next time.
When was the next time you practiced the sneak push after the game?
September 9th. I thought we should run it again since it wasn't successful in the game.
I'm sorry to ask you this, but what happened at that September 9th practice?
Yeah, so Marik ran it. He ran it the way that we had planned. He was lower, he gained the yardage, but 5 or 6 other players ended up on top of him. He was in a pile. But he was injured and so we called 911.
I'd like to ask you some questions about this pile up. How do pile ups happen?
Basically, it's when the other team gets to the ball carrier before the ball can get to the ground. So obviously in football, the goal is to get the ball as far as you can before the other team, the defense tackles you. So they can happen in every play.
How can you stop a pile up from happening?
Again, it's the name of the game, so you really can't, other than, changing the rules of football. I try to minimize those risks for the freshman team, but it's just a part of football.
No further questions.
Cross? Yes, Your Honor. Good morning, Ms. Powell.
Good morning.
You said on direct that it was Al Clooney's idea to come up with the touch push play.
Yes,
Just want to clarify something. Al Clooney was employed by Thomas R. Klein High School.
yes, that's correct. He was one of the coaches with me.
He was your offensive coordinator.
Yes,
You were the head coach for that team.
that's correct.
As the head coach of that team, you have final say on the plays that make it into your team's playbook.
Yes,
You would agree with me that the varsity team, the JV team, and the freshman team at Klein High School generally run the same plays?
yeah, I mean, football is not a unique idea. We usually run the same plays if they work for each team for every single team.
This is to ensure continuity between the playbooks.
Yes,
Miss, the JV team didn't run a tush push variation.
no, they didn't.
The varsity team didn't run a tush push variation.
No, but they had won more games than our freshman team.
You didn't call the varsity coach to see if it'd be safe to run this play with the freshman team?
No.
You didn't call the JV coach to see if it'd be safe to run this play with the freshman team?
No,
You didn't call Dr. Omega Adams to see if it'd be medically safe to run this play with 14-year-old boys?
no, and most football coaches don't usually consult with doctors.
To clarify, Dr. Adams is a friend of yours, correct?
Yes,
You didn't say, hey, I'm thinking about running this play. Is it safe?
no,
You didn't ask the athletic director if it'd be safe to run this play?
no, I didn't.
You just chose to run a tush push variation with your team.
Yes, it was successful in the NFL and there weren't any injuries, so I wanted to implement it for our kids.
You mentioned that this play was legal in the state of Pennsylvania.
That's correct.
You are aware it was banned in 48 different states.
Objection, Your Honor.
Grounds?
May I constructively be heard outside the presence of the jury?
Sure.
This is not relevant and is substantially outweighed by the dangers of unfair prejudice here today. What other states are doing outside the jurisdiction of Pennsylvania has no bearing on what this high school in Pennsylvania did. It doesn't go to whether or not Klein High School acted reasonably or not. We are under the Pennsylvania Athletic Association rules, not concerned with the business of 48 other states.
Your Honor, first as to the 401 argument for relevance, by arguing 403, which is a test for excluding relevant evidence, counsel has already conceded this information's relevance. Second, this speaks directly to the standard of care in the country. Whether or not Jackie Powell was aware
that this play had been banned in 48 other states certainly speaks as to whether or not it was reasonable to run the play in Pennsylvania, whether it was legal or not. Counsel's argument is going to weight and not admissibility.
Final word.
Yes, Your Honor. The probative value of this is little to none. By making the 403 objection, I'm not conceding that this has probative value. It doesn't. We are in Pennsylvania under the Pennsylvania Athletic Association rules, and for the jury to consider what other 48 states are doing has no bearing on our case here today. They'll hear that and confuse the issues.
I am going to overrule the objection. I don't think that they conceded the objection by also making the 403 objection. I do think you've talked a lot about what's legal. I think that more than opens the door for this kind of testimony. So overruled.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Clooney, I'm going to ask that question again. At the time you decided to run this play, it was banned in 48 states for high school players.
Yes,
And while it was legal in Pennsylvania, you were the only team in the state of Pennsylvania that you're aware of that ran the play.
yes.
Let's talk about the play that you taught your players. Miss, this wasn't the tush push.
No, like I said, I adapted the NFL's quarterback sneak push play to be used for our freshman.
You told the team that you're going to run your own version of the tush push.
That's correct, because our players are smaller and weaker.
It was a play that you called the Marie Sneak,
Yes,
referring to your starting quarterback.
yes, Marie,
And you practiced this play.
yes,
Before you practiced this play, you didn't discuss it, the safety of the play, with the athletic trainer.
no,
That's despite the fact that you had been informed.
Objection, Your Honor. Just re-raising our pretrial motion as to Exhibit 4, the email chain.
Okay, so on the same, so I'm just gonna rule consistent with my earlier motion. Is there any other argument, any other basis?
No, Your Honor, just preserving this matter for appeals purposes.
Understood. Overruled.
Yes, Your Honor.
That's despite the fact that you had been informed about the need to discuss safety of plays with the athletic trainer.
yeah, the athletic trainer had recommended that I discuss plays.
Your Honor, permission to approach the witness. Wasn't remarked for identification as Exhibit 4.
Sure.
Ms. Powell, you recognize Exhibit 4?
I do,
You recognize it because it's an email exchange between yourself and Mr. Caroline at Klein High School.
yes,
Mr. Caroline is the athletic director at that school.
that's correct,
This is the email where you're informed about the importance of discussing these plays with your athletic trainer.
yes,
It hasn't been changed or modified in any way.
no,
Your Honor, I now offer Exhibit 4 in evidence.
Any other objections?
No, Your Honor, we just asked that the latter portion of this email be constructively redacted as per your pretrial ruling, or our agreement in housekeeping.
Yes, is that the stipulation?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, and when we say the latter portion, is that I see there's two messages, one and a second, is it everything below with anything from Ms. Kuka?
Yes, Your Honor. Constructively outside.
Or outside,
Jury. This is an email complaint
Mhm.
about an issue at practice with Coach Powell in the past. We don't intend to offer any of this information as to the contents of it. However, we do deem it important to discuss the fact that this was a complaint.
Okay, so now I'm confused. What is your understanding of the stipulation that was entered regarding this piece of evidence?
It was my understanding that that opposing counsel would be moving to constructively redact this portion. I would ask that Your Honor issue a limiting instruction to the members of the jury that this only ought to be considered for purposes of the witness's credibility for minutes that I'll get in, for reasons that I'll get into in a bit.
Okay, so I would have appreciated handling this pre-trial, because it seems like there was confusion that I wasn't aware of. What's your response to, instead of it being redacted, just being a limiting instruction on the information?
Yes, Your Honor, it was my understanding that this would be constructively redacted and reserved for impeachment purposes only. This portion of the email has character evidence in it, is used for propensity purposes, which is inadmissible under Rule 404. It is also not relevant here today, as it goes to an incident with another child at another time on another practice play. It has no bearing on today's case. And if Your Honor does find that the alleged incident between Jackie Powell and another student does, then plaintiff's counsel is only using it to show that the school acted unreasonably in this instance, and they're acting in conformity therewith in this instance, and that is propensity evidence, and it is inadmissible.
Okay, response.
Your Honor, if I may proffer, this witness is going to be forced to admit that she had denied the existence of this complaint email. I only intend to question the witness regarding her credibility. She had previously denied the existence of this under oath at deposition. I do intend to explore that. So all that's important for our purposes is that this email was in fact a complaint that she denied the existence of. I don't intend to get into the contents of it, and therefore the contents may be redacted.
Okay, so we're gonna redact the portions of the document. Now, I believe understandably, I understand your point of the context of the email being that there was a previous complaint. I'm not gonna hear anything other than previous complaint, no facts, no information other than
Absolutely.
there was a previous complaint, that is it.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so sustained in part, we're gonna redact the email, that's the border of it, don't go past it.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
Ms. Powell, publishing to the members of the jury, instructively redacted copy of Exhibit 4. Ms. Powell, this email was forwarded to you from the athletic director of Klein High School.
Yes,
The athletic director had encouraged you to discuss the safety of drills run at practice, correct?
yeah, that was when I was the defensive coordinator at the time. I was moved up to head coach a year after that email.
Miss, you'd agree with me that you'd lie if you thought you could get away with it?
No, I wouldn't.
Well, this isn't the first time that you're testifying in this case.
Correct.
You were deposed on this matter.
Yes,
At that deposition, you were under an oath.
correct.
An oath that was true.
Yes,
The same exact oath that you're under before this jury today.
yes,
You were asked questions
yes,
and you gave answers to those questions.
yes,
And you were confronted with Exhibit 4,
that's correct.
which is a complaint from a parent about one of your practices.
Yes,
When you were asked at that deposition whether there had been a complaint lodged against you,
yes,
and you said no.
yes.
Miss, when you answered that question, you knew the answer was yes.
Yeah, I had forgotten about the email until the attorney showed it to me.
Is it your testimony that you forgot about that?
Yeah.
One moment, Your Honor. Calling court and counsel's attention to page 4, line 27 of Ms. Powell's deposition, Exhibit 20. Question: why did you say that a player or parent has never lodged a complaint against you? Answer: I didn't think you had that email. Miss, when you said that email, you were referring to Exhibit 4.
Yes,
You said you didn't think they had the email.
Objection, Your Honor. Constructively outside the presence of the jury, the witness was not provided a copy to confirm or deny that this was the statement that was said in their deposition transcript.
Okay, I think that your objection is a little late.
Yes, Your Honor.
I would have liked to hear it when he said the statement's already on the record.
Yes, Your Honor.
So, I do believe that you're correct. I would like to hear I would like this witness to confirm whether or not that is the statement, if it was in devastation. Or
Certainly, Your Honor, and my apologies.
it's the same.
Yes, Your Honor, move to strike.
No, at this stage, no. If it comes out that that's not actually the statement in the record, right, then maybe we'll strike it, but at this moment, no.
Yes, Your Honor.
May I approach?
Yes.
There you go, Ms. Powell. Calling court and counsel's attention to page 23, to page 4, line 27 of the deposition. Why did you say a player or parent has never lodged a complaint against you? Answer: I didn't think you had that email. Ms. Powell, When you just testified before this jury that you forgot about the complaint, that wasn't true.
No, I just didn't know they were aware of this email.
So it's your testimony that you forgot about the email, but you didn't know that they were aware of the email at your deposition.
I didn't know they were aware of me.
I want to talk about how different this play was from the tush push that's run in the NFL. Now, your Marie Sneak encouraged Marie Newbritz to bend forward.
That's correct.
You would agree that in the NFL, quarterbacks generally keep their chests upright.
Yes,
You coached Marie Newbritz to position his head downward.
yes,
And in your own words, quarterbacks in the NFL generally keep their head slightly upright.
yes,
I want to clarify this posture for the members of the jury. You wanted Marie to lead with his head,
yes,
tuck his chin to his chest,
yes,
run his head parallel to the ground,
that's correct.
his neck parallel to the ground,
Yes,
his entire torso parallel to the ground.
yeah,
And then, while he was in this position, you wanted 3 teammates of his to push him through the opposing line.
yes,
In your own words, like a spear.
yes,
Miss, in your analogy, Marie's head would be the tip of that spear.
yes, so he would make the yardage before the defense could tackle him.
Let's talk about whether he was tackled on September 9th. Ms. Powell, on September 9th, in your own words, the entire play was run exactly as you coached.
Yes,
In fact, it was run perfectly.
yes,
The offensive line did exactly what you asked them.
yes,
The players pushing the quarterback did exactly what you asked them.
that's correct.
Marie Newbritz did exactly what you had asked him to do.
Yes,
In your own words, his posture was exactly as you coached him.
yes, and there were just a pile up happened afterward.
He was paralyzed on that play.
Yeah,
No further questions.
Redirect?
Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Powell, you were asked on cross about an email that you received. Can you tell the jury a little bit about that email?
yeah, so it was an email complaint from a parent. And that was when I had a different position at the school. I was the defensive coordinator and not the head coach.
And when opposing counsel told you that you were to seek the advice of an athletic trainer, what was your understanding of this?
It would be for the term that I was at the time. I was promoted to head coach a year after that incident.
No further questions.
Okay, you are excused. Anything further from the defense?
Yes, Your Honor, the defense calls Dr. Omega Adams. Can you please introduce yourself to the jury?
My name is Dr. Adams.
Dr. Adams, are you paid for your testimony today?
Yes, I was hired by the defense to testify.
And full transparency, do you know who Coach Jackie Powell is?
Yes, Jackie Powell was a patient of mine, became a patient in 2019. I treated them and provided them with follow-up treatment after the surgery as well. And we became friends during that time.
What do you do for a living?
I'm continuing neurosurgeon at the University of Alabama Birmingham Hospital, and I'm also the founder and principal consultant for Neurological Consulting LLC. That's also based out of Birmingham.
What's your educational background?
I attended Stanford University to obtain my degree in biology, and then I went on to obtain my MD from University of Alabama Birmingham School of Medicine.
Do you have any licenses or certifications as it relates to your work?
Yes, I'm licensed to practice medicine in the state of Alabama, and I'm also board certified by the American Board of Neurological Surgeons. I'm a fellow on that board as well.
How long have you been practicing neurosurgery?
24 years now.
And how many patients have you treated with cervical spine injuries?
I've conducted over 1,000 surgeries on patients with cervical spine injuries, including those involving spinal cord fractures.
And how many of those patients sustain their cervical spine injuries from football specific?
9 of those patients.
Now, how do you typically evaluate a spinal cord injury?
After determining the nature and extent of the injury, I look at three things. The force that was involved when the injury occurred, the positioning of the body, and then how the described event may have played a role in causing that injury. The word for this is biomechanics, and it just means looking at how an injury may have happened by looking at the force that was involved.
And what sorts of things do you look at when evaluating a sports-related injury?
Well, I'd look at the structure of the play, the speed and direction of contact in that play, and how the forces involved may have played a role in causing an injury.
Are these principles and methods reliable in your field?
Yes, they are.
What materials did you review in today's case?
I reviewed all the exhibits in this case, including all of the depositions.
And without saying them, were you able to come to any conclusions?
Yes, I was.
Did you reliably apply the same principles and methods to this case as you do in your work?
I did.
And are your conclusions a reflection of that?
They are.
Your Honor, at this time, the defense moves to offer Dr. Omega Adams as an expert in biomechanical injury causation and spinal cord trauma.
Any objections?
Not at this time, Your Honor.
Okay. Witness is accepted as an expert in those cases.
Now, I want to talk about the facts of this case. What play was the plaintiff hurt on?
The quarterback sneak push. It's arguably the Eagles' signature play at this point in the NFL.
Can you describe what this play looks like to the jury?
Yeah, so the center snaps the ball back to the quarterback, and the quarterback is pushed forward by his teammates, usually to gain a yard or two, while the opposing line is pushing against them.
Would you recognize the still shot of this play being run if I showed it to you?
I would.
Retrieving what's already been admitted into evidence as Exhibit 8A. Approaching opposing counsel. Approaching the witness. Would Your Honor like a courtesy copy?
No, thank you.
Permission to publish to the jury. Now, Dr. Adams, taking a look at this play, what is your opinion on this play as it relates to your expertise?
From a biomechanical standpoint, I'd say that it's a safe play.
Why do you say that?
Two reasons: slow speed and compact formation. If you look at the play, all the players are bunched really tightly together. And when the play starts, they're moving at a very slow speed. So there's much less force involved than an open field tackle or a high speed collision.
Can you give us an example of what you mean by using your hands?
Yeah. So if I put my hands really close together like this and then I try to clap, there's barely a sound because there's barely any force. But if I put my hands really far apart, like players usually are on the football field, and then I clap, you hear a loud, sharp impact. That's what happens when there's more force involved, and that's where injuries are more likely to occur. So the quarterback sneak actually has far less collision force than than any other play.
Thank you, Dr. Adams. You can leave that photo aside for now. Now, you mentioned this play was popular in the NFL. How many times has the quarterback sneak push been run at that level?
According to my review and my research, over 300 times this past 4 seasons alone.
And how many times has it been run on other levels?
It's been run hundreds of times at the college level, and there's 2 high school teams in Texas who have been running it successfully since 2023.
Are you aware of any quarterback injuries as a result from running the quarterback sneak push?
Prior to this incident, there have been no injuries to the quarterback in any way at any level of football when running the quarterback sneak push.
Are you aware of any spinal injuries as a result from that?
Again, prior to this incident, there have been no spinal injuries to any player in any position at any level of football.
Are you aware of any injuries resulting from running this play?
There have been 2 injuries, both in 2023 to New York Giants players. One was a shoulder injury and one was a knee injury, but I don't know the extent of those injuries or what kind of treatment is needed.
What other plays are you aware of that Thomas Klein ran?
Prior to running the quarterback sneak push, I discovered that the Thomas R. Klein High School coaches ran the quarterback sneak.
And what is the quarterback sneak?
It's very similar to the quarterback sneak push or the tush push, but without the pushing from behind. The players still get low and move forward in that slow speed and compact formation.
How do the forces of a quarterback sneak compare to the forces of a quarterback sneak push?
They're very similar because of that similar structure of the play, slow speed and compact formation. players are still pushed from the front. There's just no pushing from behind. But cervical spine injuries due to axial loading can still occur on that play as well.
Now, I want to talk to you about how this play applies to the high school level. When run at the high school level, what's your opinion on this play?
It's safer at the high school level. Players are not nearly as fast, as strong, or as big in high school as they are in the NFL. So the impact forces when those players are pushing on each other are much smaller.
Now, you were in this courtroom today when Dr. Kensington Cotter testified that high school players are underdeveloped and this play can be more dangerous when run at the high school level. What do you have to say about that?
It's true that high school players' spines aren't as developed, which can make them more susceptible to injury on any play.
And why do you say that?
Well, football is a high contact sport. Players often get low, keep their head down to the ground, and they're often dealing with different impacts from all directions.
Now, what were your conclusions in this case to a reasonable degree of scientific certainty?
There's no data to show that the quarterback sneak push or the way that it was run at Klein, the Murray sneak, was any more unsafe than any other play in football.
Thank you, Dr. Adams. No further questions.
Cross?
Yes, Your Honor. May I proceed?
May.
Good morning, Dr. Adams. You talked a lot on direct examination about the sport of football. I want to talk about what you actually know about it. Ma'am, you were in the room when Dr. Cotter was cross-examined, right?
I was,
And you heard her be questioned about her experience with football.
yes,
I'd like to ask those same questions. Ma'am, you've never coached football,
no,
never played football.
No.
Never designed a football play.
No.
Never coached a blocking scheme.
No.
And never coached play technique.
definitely not.
So now that we know that you don't really know football, let's talk about how you came to conclusions regarding that play. As you told the members of the jury, you own a litigation consulting business.
I did.
In fact, 90% of your income is a result of that business.
For the past 2 years or so, I believe that's right.
You've been hired in 120 civil cases.
Yes, been quite a bit.
In all 120 of those cases, you were hired by the defense.
Yes, I work primarily for the defense.
Primarily, ma'am, you've never been hired by the plaintiff.
Yes,
You also speak at the nation's largest organization of civil defense attorneys.
yes.
And you've been speaking with them for the last 4 years.
Like I said, I do work for the defense.
So now that we know how you make your money, let's talk about how much you're actually making. Ma'am, you're charged $1,000 an hour to review this case.
Yes,
As of August the 15th, a month ago, you had billed 30 hours on this case.
yes,
So if my math's right, as of August the 15th, you had made $30,000.
yes,
But then you charged $2,000 for trial and deposition testing.
yes, I do.
So as you were asked 12 questions at your deposition, you made $2,000.
I believe so.
And we've been here for about 3 hours.
I don't have a lot of time, but yeah.
That's okay, neither did I. So to that, if you charge $2,000 for the 3 hours we've been here, that's another $6,000.
Yeah.
So at this point, you've made nearly $40,000.
Yes, it's how I make money.
So let's talk about some things that you do know, because we know you're not aware of.
I wouldn't say that necessarily.
You've never played football.
I haven't.
So let's talk about an area you're more familiar with. Ma'am, like you said, you're a neurosurgeon.
I am.
And as a neurosurgeon, you know that high schoolers have weaker spines than full-grown adults.
Yes.
And that's because the body's still developing.
Yeah.
So because their bodies are still developing, high schoolers are more susceptible to spinal injuries.
Yes.
On September 9th, Marie Knuberns was a high school freshman.
Yes, he was.
Let's talk about some more things you know as a neurosurgeon. Ma'am, you're aware of axial loading.
Yes.
Axial loading can cause more severe spinal injuries.
It happens anytime a player absorbs force along the axis of the spine. It's fairly common in football, but it can cause spinal cord injuries.
Particularly, it's forces to the head or neck.
Yes,
So because axial loading can occur because of forces to the head or neck, you'd agree with me that it's important for football players to protect their head and neck.
yes, that's why they wear helmets.
Great, so now that we know that football players should protect their head and their neck, let's talk about how the Maurice sneak was wrong. You reviewed Coach Powell's deposition and coming to your conclusions. And you know that she told Maurice Dubritz to get his head bent,
Yes,
to get his neck parallel with the ground,
yes,
get his chest parallel with the ground,
yes,
get his torso parallel with the ground. All while teammates pushed him forward from behind.
Yep.
Pushed him forward from behind, in her words, like a spear.
Yep.
So now that we know how Maurice Dubritz was taught to run the play, let's talk about its execution. You know that they ran the play one time on September 9th.
I believe so. I'm not sure how far they were into that practice or what other plays they had run before that.
Well, they had run the Maurice sneak one time in that practice.
Yeah.
You know that as Maurice took the snap, he got his head down.
He did.
He got his neck parallel to the ground.
He did.
He got his whole body parallel to the ground.
Yes,
In Coach Bo Powell's own words, she said the play was ran perfectly.
yeah, the play was run how it was supposed to be.
Man, when the play was run as it was supposed to be, in Coach Powell's words, perfect, a 14-year-old was paralyzed.
Yes, unfortunately, Marie ended up at the bottom of the pile up, like on many plays in football, he was paralyzed.
Man, I didn't ask you about a pilot. When Maurice Dubritz ran the play exactly as he was coached, he was paralyzed.
Yes, at the end of that play, yes.
Thank you, Dr. Evans. Your Honor, I have no further questions.
Can you redirect?
Yes, Your Honor. Dr. Adams, you were just asked about your opinion on the technique as Marie was instructed to run this play. What are your opinions on that technique as it relates to safety?
As it relates to safety, it's common for football players to get low and put their head down. Like you can see in this photo here, a lot of players have their head low, parallel, and their body parallel to the ground. So I would say it's not necessarily the way I would do it, but safe.
You were also asked about your personal relationship with Coach Jackie Powell prior to this case. What influenced that?
Objection, Your Honor. That's outside the scope of cross. I didn't ask about the relationship.
Response? Your Honor, I believe that it was implied and indirect. I was just wanted to clarify for the jury.
Okay, so what you're saying is you brought up in direct examination.
I did bring it up direct.
And I didn't ask about it on cross.
I'm gonna sustain the objection.
Dr. Adams, you were also asked about your lack of experience in football. What influence did that have on your opinion here today?
It didn't stop me from forming my conclusions to a reasonable degree of scientific certainty. I haven't coached or played football, obviously, but I have conducted over 1,000 surgeries on patients with cervical spinal cord injuries like Marie's, and 9 of those included those on football players. All of my conclusions were based on my medical experience and my reviews of the exhibits in this case.
Thank you, Dr. Adams. No further questions, Your Honor. I just ask that this witness be excused.
Your Honor, if I may, per the rules of this tournament, rules specifically Rule 4, redirect and recross examination are permitted. Based on that rule, I'd like to recross this witness.
Okay, is there any limitation to recross? Is it for any specific purpose or?
They are limited by the scope of the previous examination.
Okay, the response to that?
No objection.
Okay, please proceed.
Opposing counsel just asked you about your opinion on this play. I want to clarify one thing for the members of the jury. You would not have recommended running the play this way.
I don't have any football experience. It's just not how I would have run it because of the technique in the play from what I've seen when I watch football.
So as a neurosurgeon, you wouldn't recommend the technique that Maurice Dubritz ran the play with on September.
Not necessarily, no.
Thank you. No further questions.
Anything further for this witness?
No, Your Honor, we just ask that this witness be able to step down.
You're allowed to step down.
And I also just ask that I be able to tender these exhibits back in evidence.
Okay, and what do you mean by that?
Retrieve them from the witness stand and from the members of the jury.
Sure, you can retrieve your exhibits. I've also got another one here. An exhibit 2, I'm not sure whose that is, but I don't want to get.
I do believe it's theirs.
Okay.
I'm pretty
Sure,
sure.
here you go.
Oh, it is ours. It's from a pre-trial. My apologies.
Okay, anything else before we go into closing arguments?
Not from the point, Your Honor.
Okay, and I just assumed something that I shouldn't have. Defense, are you resting? Do you have any more witnesses?
Yes, nothing further from the defense, Your Honor.
Okay, and anything before we move into closing?
Who just re-raise our pre-trial motion? Or
Okay.
pre-trial motion.
Any more argument that you'd like to add on to the record?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Okay, so I will deny it for similar reasons, and we'll take a quick break before closing.
May I request a time check before we do that?
Go for it.
The plaintiff has 16 minutes, 6 seconds, the defense has 17 minutes, 54 seconds.
Thank you. And how much time?
It's 11:05. Let's come back by 11:10.
Perfect. Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, while we're on break, may I start to set up a well for?
Do whatever you need, man.
Thank you.
No problem.
Better sit, I'm sorry.
Ready the laptop, can I do that?
I'm not gonna do the one.
That's okay. I know. I'm sure we trust you. Yes.
Just on the back of that, please. Yeah, it has been. I'll just put them between here. Two tables, I just don't want to be.
Activation this man.
Right. Yeah, please. This is box. Thank you. No, sorry, I was setting some up. Well, I'm using a paper, but I'm not using time. Sorry.
No, you're okay.
Ready to proceed?
My apologies. Yes, Your Honor.
Oh,
But
no worries.
before we do, can we go outside in front of the jury for a moment?
Yeah,
I just want to point out that for the jury verdict form, there are 3 questions on it. The third question only pertains if the defense calls their affirmative defense, which they've elected not to in this case. So if you could instruct members of the jury not to regard that question when we put it up, or
we're
construct a
gonna
redaction.
pretend like it doesn't exist.
That's
As
cool.
my law clerk will already delete that.
Cool with me, Your Honor.
Right, so for purposes of us, that thing isn't even there.
Just want to make sure for members of the jury.
Understood.
With that, more ready.
Okay. Proceed whenever you're ready.
Thank you. She coached the play to paralysis. It's September 9th, 2024. 14-year-old freshman quarterback Maurice Newbrints lines up for a play. His team's running the Maurice Speak. And as he lines up for that play, he does exactly what the defendant coach asked him. He gets his head down. Because that's what the defendant coach asked of him. He gets his body parallel with the ground. Because that's what the defendant coach asked him. And then he drives forward. With the help of his teammates from behind. Who used the tip of his head like a spear. Why? Because that's what the defendant coach asked him to. At the beginning of trial today, my co-counsel Ryan Stewart came forward and told you that we proved to you by a preponderance of the evidence, simply meaning more likely than not, that Thomas R. Klein High School was negligent, and that their negligence was a substantial factor in bringing about Marie Newbern's paralysis. A substantial factor is more than mere remote connection. It's something that a reasonable person could conclude contributed to the harm. And we prove that to you today because of 3 key facts. First, the defendant coach changed the play. Second, the play was unsafe. And third, they ran that unsafe play perfect. Which brings me to my first point. The defendant coach changed the play. Every witness who was called to this stand today explained that to you. Why does it matter? Well, the defendant coach, Ms. Powell, designed her own play, doesn't research it, and puts it in the playbook anyway. The problem is she designed a play that was worse because she made it unsafe. You know that in the National Football League, players are taught to run the play with their chest up, with a crouching position at the knees. That's not what Mark Newberg was taught. Dr. Cotter showed you that the play was taught for Marie that he should bend forward, get his head down, and get his chest parallel with the ground, while 3 teammates from behind pushed him forward like a spear, or like a human battering ram. Remember, jury, this column is the professionals who get paid millions of dollars to play. That's a 14-year-old using his body like a spear. Which brings me to my second point. The play was unsafe. You heard from 2 different experts. Dr. Kensington Collar, a doctor of sports medicine, and Dr. Omega Adams, a general nurse. Dr. Cotter, who works with all UCLA football sports teams, including the football team, told us that this play was unsafe because of increased risk of axial loading. That means because Marie Newbern left himself parallel with the ground, he left himself exposed to additional forces to his head and neck. And I know that there was a little bit of discrepancy. Let me explain it. Dr. Cotter wrote an article over a year ago about the dangers of the tush push. The woman who's been describing this play and studying it for over a year told you that the Marixni was more dangerous than the original. And then about an hour later, Dr. Adams took the stand. And she told you that this was one of the safest plays in football. But let's talk about why she told you that. You know that she made $40,000 in this case alone. This is a woman who only testifies for the defense. In all 120 cases she's been hired in, not once has she ever been hired by the plaintiff. Why? Because the evidence showed that if the money's right, Dr. Adams will say the right thing. Or a defense. Think about this $40,000 number. Like I just said, she's been hired in 120 civil cases. If she's made that kind of money in all of those cases, do you want to know why she answered the way she did? I'm sure I'll give you 4 million different reasons why she'd answer that way. But let's say that you think her testimony has some credibility to it. Think about what she told us on the stand today. As a neurosurgeon, the Marique sneak was run differently than the way she'd recommend running it. That's Dr. Adams telling you, the play isn't safe. So at this point, you're probably asking yourselves, so if the play was so unsafe, why did Coach Powell want to run it? You know the answer to that question? It's a fear of fire. There were 3 football teams at Klein High School: varsity, junior varsity, and freshman. And generally, those teams ran the same plays to ensure continuity as players went up the ladder. The varsity team, they didn't run a variation of the tush push. The junior varsity team, they didn't run a variation of the tush push. It was only the team with 14 and 15-year-olds that ran this Marique sneak. The team that went 1-9 the previous 2 seasons. The team that was coached by a woman who thought her job was on the line. So she sat at home on a Sunday watching the Philadelphia Eagles. She saw them run the tush push. And she thinks to herself, why not our boys? The problem with that thinking is that she changed the play. She told the quarterback, the only person who's going to touch the ball on that play, to get parallel with the ground while his teammates drove him forward. How do we know it's unsafe? Because Miss Powell doesn't consult the varsity coach, doesn't consult the junior varsity coach, doesn't consult the athletic director, not the athletic trainer. She doesn't even call up her good friend, Dr. Adams, and say, hey, I'm thinking about running this play. What do you think? She either didn't want to ask the question or she didn't care about the answer. Either way, it's negligent. At the conclusion of trial today, you're going to be presented with this verdict. And you're going to be asked this first question. So, did the plaintiff prove, more likely than not, that Thomas R. Klein High School, through the acts or omissions of its agents or employees, was negligent? Coach Powell designed the play, didn't research it, and put it in the playbook. That's how you know the answer to question 1 is yes. And that'll lead you to question 2. Did the plaintiff prove, more likely than not, that the negligence of Thomas R. Klein High School, through the acts or omissions of its agents or employees, caused Marique Newbrance's harm? It's that second question that leads me to my final point. On September 9th, 2024, the Klein freshman football team ran the Marique sneak perfectly. September 9th wasn't the first time the Klein freshman football team had run the play. They run it for the first time on August 20th. And each time they run that play, they ran it 3. Coach Powell says the same thing to Marique. Get lower, get lower, get lower. Before the last time, taking his helmet, shoving it to the ground. Telling him, don't make me tell you again. Then they run the play on September the 5th, their first game. And when Marique takes the snap, he doesn't get low enough and gets stopped. The play doesn't work. And as a 14-year-old walks off the field, Coach Powell says, just parallel the ground, kid. I bet AJ and John would love to be in there. Now it's September 9th. Marique Newbrance has just been threatened to be replaced. And about an hour into practice, he says, let's run the Marique sneak. The Marique Newbrance gets the snap. Takes the ball. And with AJ and John looming behind him, he gets his head down, gets his chest parallel with the ground, and takes a step. Both Coach Clooney and Coach Powell to this play was run exactly as it was coached. Coach Powell even told you the play was run perfectly. Members of the jury, a perfect play resulted in paralysis. It was coached to paralysis. That's how you know the answer to question 2 is yes. Now, at the beginning of trial today, opposing counsel told me to keep in mind a few questions. I'd like to address those as we speak. Question 1, are injuries common in football? And question 2, was the play legal? Mr. Stower and I don't dispute that. If those were the questions we were asking you to answer, we probably wouldn't have come to work today. But that's not the question you have to answer. You're here to answer whether or not this was a negligent play, and that negligent play resulted in paralysis. But it's the third question that intrigues me. You were asked, was there data that shows the way the Maurice sneak was run was with injuries? Why would there be danger? Why would there be data on this play? The fact is, not a team in the state of Pennsylvania or a team in the entire country at the high school level ran this play. At least they didn't run it the way that Maurice did, getting his head, neck, chest, everything parallel to the ground, while 3 players from behind push him forward like a human batter. At the conclusion of this trial, we ask you to find the only verdict consistent with the law, consistent with the facts, consistent with your own common sense. Finding Thomas R. Klein High School liable for negligence. Thank you.
Okay, defense,
Yes, Your Honor, just a brief moment to set out a well.
take your time, proceed when you're ready.
I can take those all immediately. No problem.
May it please the court. Every play comes with risks. The staff of the Thomas R. Klein freshman football team were looking for a way to get a leg up on the competition for the 2024 to 2025 season. And they found it. The quarterback sneak push. Now, the sneak push stood out to the coaching staff because when it's done right, it's nearly impossible to defend against. It's a play that professional, college, high school athletes alike use because it nearly guarantees securing positive yardage in a game. That, alongside the fact that there hadn't been any injuries to quarterbacks as a result of the play. It was legal. It was safe. It was just another play. So the team ran it 3 times on August 20th, once in a game, without incident. But unfortunately, on September 9th, 2024, Marique Newburns became the first recorded incident of injury to a quarterback as a result of the play. Members of the jury, we are not here today to dispute that this is anything but tragic. Although it's tragic, it's not necessarily an unexpected risk of football. Even professional athletes playing at the highest level of the game experience the same risks and results of playing football that Marique faced on September 9th. Because every play comes with risks. Now, the plaintiff, they disagree. That's why they brought a claim of negligence against Thomas R. Klein High School. The judge will instruct you on the law, But for now, I'd like to remind you of the burden that the plaintiff has in today's case. They have to prove two things to you here today. First, they had to prove that Thomas R. Klein was negligent. Then, they have to prove that that negligence is what caused Marique's injury. Now, if they fail to prove either of these two things, they failed to meet that burden. You have a duty to find Thomas R. Klein High School not liable. Today, the plaintiff did fail to meet that burden because every play comes with risks. That's what we heard here today. The plaintiff even agreed. Injuries are common in football. You heard their expert, our expert, agree to it. Al Clooney and Jackie Powell. Jackie Powell listed some of the inherent risks in the game. Ankle sprains, broken bones, concussions, paralysis, even death. That's why these students wear padding. It's a contact sport. If you're not hitting, you're not playing it right. The fundamentals of football are blocking, tackling, and ending in a pile. Jackie Powell modified the drill to keep Marique safe from these risks. She told Marique to get lower. That's what the plaintiff would have you believe is an issue here today. This modification, but you heard Dr. Adams explain here on the stand, players commonly get low. That's part of blocking. That's part of tackling. You propel your body in this low position. That's not negligence, that's football. That's why every play comes with these risks. Even Dr. Cotter had to admit to you here today that the sneak push, it wasn't unique to any of these other plays. She says that the axial loading, it could happen on any other play. Because every play comes with these risks. Now, the plaintiff would have you zoom in to this modification, right? They want you to believe that it was the head down, the neck tucked, parallel to the ground. But my co-counsel showed you here today an example where you saw all sorts of players in that position. None of those players resulted in injury here today. Dr. Cotter would have you believe that the sneak push was uniquely dangerous to students because they have weaker spines. But members of the jury, if weaker spines make the sneak push less safe, then that makes all of high school football unsafe. That makes every block riskier, every tackle riskier. That makes every pile up riskier. You heard here today that pileups can cause this spinal compression that we're talking about here today. You heard Jackie Powell testify on the stand. They're unavoidable. Marique was at the bottom of one of these pileups. That's what caused the spinal compression. Not the sneak push. Not the coaching staff. It's not negligence. It's football. Because every play comes with risks. We were able to agree, like plaintiff said, that injuries are common in football, but we were also able to agree, like I mentioned, that the play was legal in Pennsylvania at the time that it was run. Under the Pennsylvania Athletic Association rules, the sneak push for the 2024 to 2025 season was legal to be run. And you heard here today, there were at least 2 other high schools that were running the play during that same time. The plaintiff wanted to get up here today and talk about an email where Jackie Powell failed to seek the advice and counsel of the athletic trainer in today's case about whether or not the play was safe. I want to be very clear, members of the jury. That wasn't policy. That wasn't a rule or a mandate. That was advice. That was advice given to a subordinate coach in their role as a defensive coordinator at the time. Advice given to a defensive coordinator who would soon climb the ranks to head coach in the next year. Even if Jackie Powell had sought the advice of that athletic director, she wouldn't have found anything. Because there is no data to suggest that the sneak push nor the modification of it is any less safe than other plays. The plaintiff brought you 2 witnesses here today to prove their case, and neither of them could give you specific data to suggest that this play was any less safe than other plays. Starting with Al Clooney. Al Clooney took the stand and couldn't tell you any injuries to quarterbacks at the professional level, the college level, or the high school level. They assumed the play was unsafe because they saw 2 New York Giants players hurt from the play. They didn't bother to look at how severe those injuries were. They don't know how long those players had to sit out. They just based their opinion. They also reflected on some articles that formed their opinion on why they should run the sneak push. But you heard in court here today, those articles had nothing to do with the safety of players. One of them said that there wasn't sufficient data to consider the play unsafe. The other article said that the play was more of a rugby move, that it didn't look right on the football field. It's not safety concerns, members of the jury. That's not good enough. Al Clooney wanted you to believe that they thought this play was unsafe the whole time, from its inception. You heard on the stand, they didn't vocalize their concerns. They didn't vocalize their concerns to Jackie Powell after the Wicked Wolf meeting. They didn't vocalize it on September 5th when they ran it in the game. They didn't vocalize it after Marik allegedly hurt his back in that game. Didn't take him to the athletic trainer. Didn't seek out the athletic director to say they didn't think this play was safe. And you know why, members of the jury? Because Al Clooney didn't have a problem with this play to begin with. They got up here today for a personal grudge against the school for passing them up as head coach. This wasn't about Marie. This was about them today. The plaintiff, because they gave you one witness who couldn't give you anything of substance about the data of this play, brought you their expert who they paid to be here. And they couldn't give you anything of substance either. Dr. Cotter told you that there wasn't anything unique to the sneak push that provided the spinal compression, right? They told you that they relied on all these articles to form their opinion, and I'd like to take those. This article did not mention anything about an injury like Marik's, nor did this one, or this one, or this one, or this one. None of the articles that the expert that the plaintiff paid to be here today mention anything about spinal injuries, neck injuries, paralysis, the mention of the possibility of an injury like Marik's here today. They said that they wrote a report. Their own article was the basis of their conclusion here today. That's not data. And her own article doesn't mention spinal injuries or neck injuries, paralysis, anything of the sort. That's not data as to why this play was any less safe than other plays. Neither of them could give you any reason. And you know why? Because you heard here today from our expert, Dr. Adams, that biomechanically speaking, this play is safer than other plays. You learn that when players start in closer proximity, there's lower impact forces. They're not moving with speed like they would in a high field, open speed collision. They can't use the momentum to crash into each other. That, paired with the fact that these students aren't as strong as NFL players, makes this a safer play for students. At the beginning of today's trial, my co-counsel, Mr. Puckett, he came before you and he asked you to keep 3 questions in mind. Are injuries common in football? Was the play legal? Was there any data to suggest that this play was unsafe. As you head back into the deliberation room here today, you're going to be handed this form. And as you look at question 1, did plaintiff prove more likely than not that Thomas R. Klein through the acts or omissions of its employees or agents was negligent? The answer to this question is no, because injuries are common in football. The play was legal, and there wasn't any data to suggest that this play was unsafe. Now, if your answer to this question is no, then you're done here. You get to go home. But if your answer is yes, then you'll move to question 2. Did plaintiff prove more likely than not that the negligence of Thomas R. Klein High School through the acts or omissions of its agents or employees caused Marie Newbarnes' harm? The answer to this question is no, because injuries are common in football. Injuries such as paralysis that can be caused by pileups, blocking, or tackling on any play. Pileups that cause spinal compression. A pileup where Marie ended up on September 9th, 2024. For these reasons, we ask you find Thomas R. Klein not liable, because every play comes with risks. Thank you.
Anything further from plaintiff?
Yes, Your Honor. Before I proceed with rebuttal, may I have another time check?
3 minutes, 36 seconds.
Thank you. May I proceed?
You may.
Today you heard from the coaches of this 14-year-old boy. And I want to talk about what each of them said. Al Clooney stood up, sat here first. And when she was crossed about all the things she didn't do, she said, "I wish I had." Because members of the jury, you're not asking whether Mr. or Mrs. Powell was negligent. It's Thomas Klein High School. The fact is, she was an agent or employee of Thomas Klein High School during this injury. She told you she wished she did more. That's an agent or employee telling you she didn't do it. And then Miss Powell got up here. And she told you, "I forgot about this email." Members of the jury, no, she didn't. She lied to each and every one of you when she said she forgot. Because when we asked her about it earlier, the answer was, "I didn't think you had." Find Klein High School liable for negligence. Thank you.
Okay. So we're all done now?
Yes,
Nothing
sir.
further? Okay, great. I believe our judges are gonna need a second to finish their ballot.
Would you like to step aside?
You know, just do what you need to do to clean up. I know we're gonna get lunch, so
A lot of
don't
fun.
step out. It's just you guys let me know when you are done.
That's 4 members.